So, before we get into things, a big thanks to Nintendo for providing review code for this game. If you were to ask someone what were some of their biggest memories of the original Wii, what would you expect to receive as an answer? Some could point to the big guns of old like Twilight Princess and Super Mario Galaxy. Some might look at hidden gems of the time such as Xenoblade Chronicles. Others still might say that the Wii was a multiplayer fun machine with the likes of Mario Party 8, Mario Kart Wii, and Super Smash Bros. But beyond all that, one of the more likely answers you could get about fond Wii memories is the aptly named Wii series of games. Wii Sports, Wii Play, Wii Sports Resort, the works. The Switch, for all its good qualities, hasn't really been granted an equivalent to these kinds of games. Simple, pick-up-and-play collections suitable for practically everyone, including people not predisposed towards video games. Until now, that is. Clubhouse Games, 51 worldwide classics. Kind of a boring name that nonetheless tells you everything about the collection you're in for. Games from all over the world united in a singular goal of simplicity. Some games have more rules than others, some require more thinking, some require different control styles, but nothing in here is complicated, and that's a good thing. Much like the aforementioned Wii series of games, you start up Clubhouse Games, you go through a very brief introduction segment that asks you to fill out a profile, and then everything is unlocked from the start. No hassle, no waiting. Just jump in and to play whatever you want. There is a progression system to speak of, but it's largely inconsequential and you will go through it without even really trying. You've probably noticed the globe screen by now. As you play more games, it becomes populated with figurines. These figurines are essentially just a set of individual preset curators for game types. One figurine might recommend you games based on Nintendo's past history as a toy maker. Another will recommend games ideal for playing on a plane. Someone else might recommend fast-paced action, and so on. They don't necessarily add anything to overall progress, but help greatly when there's a certain itch you want to scratch with a quick game. The other bit of progression present is more for completionists than anything else. In solo mode, a good chunk of the games are rocking AI that increases in difficulty, and you work your way from normal to impossible. Beating the latter difficulty means you have mastered the game, though how hard it is can vary on a case-by-case basis. Something like Tanks is fairly easy to master on impossible, while the same difficulty level in a game like chess has spawned horror stories about it. There's a good chance you'll end up completing these challenges gradually anyways, and there's nothing locked behind them. Ergo, no real reason to rush through if you don't want to. This completion aspect is also present in solo games like golf, where mastery is determined by completing the objectives listed on the game's page. A minor bit of progression is present for certain card games as well. By playing enough, you can unlock differently designed decks to swap in, most notably the Mario-themed cards. The unlock conditions, as far to my knowledge, seem fairly arbitrary, but it is a nice bonus for those who want to add some minor visual flair to their game sessions. These bits of progression, however minor, serve their purpose in getting you to try every game at least once. You might not like every single game on offer, but with 51 to choose from, there's a decent chance you'll end up liking a few, or even discover games you might not have expected to enjoy. For me personally, I had never played Yacht Dice, President, or War prior to this review, but all three games quickly proved to be some of my favorites among the new games I tried. There are games I like more than those in general, particularly bowling, darts, shooting gallery, and Ludo, but the point is that there's likely to be something that can appeal to you. And of course, the vast majority of these games can all be enjoyed in online play. This being a post-launch review, I was able to get in several games with fellow Source Gaming member Nantinjex, where we shot ourselves at the same time in Tanks, made huge gambles in Blackjack and got screwed over by the AI, scored tons of self-owning self-goals in air hockey by complete accident, and get back-to-back yacht rolls in Yacht Dice. If only we had recorded the Discord call when this happened, since the laughter from that moment was something to behold. There's something to be said for the overall presentation as well. To put it one way, you could probably imagine all of these games taking place in the same locale, likely a clubhouse, as part of the game's name. The unifying, simple backgrounds of most games sell the illusion that you could be playing them with actual physical props. And yet, despite this, every game is uniquely distinguishable from one another. even when it comes to games in the same overall category. The card games might all take place on felted tables, but all of them are rocking different designs, and in the case of Blackjack and Texas Hold'em, different colored felts altogether. The toy branded games of baseball, tennis, curling, and soccer are all rocking look-alike physical sets that you could probably find in an actual toy section under the same brand. Darts and bowling could arguably be in the same room, and so on. Every single game is also prefaced by a short skit where 2 or more figurines engage in dialogue relevant to the game you're playing, as a way to casually ease you into how the games might play. Admittedly, the dialogue in these scenes can be fairly cringeworthy, but on some level, that can be part of their charm and adds to the whole casual presentation aspect the game has. Clubhouse Games might just be a game collection, but it's a game collection with wonderful visual flair, helped by the fact that you won't ever be complaining about performance-related issues, as it's a game that runs at 60 frames per second and contains absolutely no visual glitches or stuttering to speak of. Of course, with everything good I've said about Clubhouse Games, it's also fair to point out the aspects where it doesn't stick the landing, which are few but glaring. The single biggest problem with the game is arguably, of all things, local multiplayer controller compatibility. In solo mode, you can play just fine with any controller you want, barring games that are motion controlled, which lock you into a Joy-Con. But local play locks you into Joy-Cons by default, and that is a misstep so large that I wouldn't be shocked if additional support is patched in later. On a surface level, it's an understandable choice, since the games are all designed for Joy-Con use, and a pair of those is easier to carry around than several Pro controllers. But for one, most games that don't involve motion or touch control work perfectly fine with a Pro controller, and mixing them both should not actually be an issue. Moreover, Joy-Cons are already a steep investment as is. A single Joy-Con set is equivalent in price to 2 copies of this very game. It's a fair assumption that most people don't buy an extra pair of Joy-Cons when the Pro controller is cheaper and assorted third-party controllers, including third-party Joy-Cons, are even cheaper than that. If price isn't an issue for you and you have those extra Joy-Cons, what if you're afflicted by the infamous drifting problem they have? Anyone in that position is facing a real problem for local play. For a collection that tries to appeal to everyone, it is ironically very limiting in this aspect, and it should be among, if not the top priority for adjustment in any later patches. Please, Nintendo. The other, albeit lesser problem in my experience is with the online. It works, but it's also scattershot in terms of stability. Testing it with both random players and in a controlled environment with friends yielded some mixed results. There were at times sessions that bordered on unplayable due to lag. However, a good number of later play sessions performed substantially better. They may have had hiccups, but nothing on the level of frequent multi-second pauses. It's not exactly clear how the online for Clubhouse Games is handled, whether it's region-based, what kind of netcode is in use, among other details. The main takeaway from testing is that a wired Ethernet-based connection will come the closest to guaranteeing you the smoothest experience. Your mileage may vary. Short of controller compatibility issues, and on a case-by-case basis the online, Clubhouse Games on the Switch is a well-made game collection that fills in the Wii-shaped casual gaming void in the Switch's library. It won't be a full substitute for Wii Sports Resort and its ilk in the slightest, but for what it is, this is a worthy spiritual successor. At $40 or your regional equivalent, it's priced less than your average Switch game and offers fair replay value, as well as simple quick fun that's infinitely entertaining with friends. It's hard not to recommend, especially if you can get additional people to play either locally or online. So join the club. And to all of our viewers, tell us what you think of the game in the comments if you download it. A special thanks to Nintendo for providing review code, and to our patrons who help keep us active. If you want to see more content like this, please like the video and subscribe for more to support us. I am Liquid12A, and as always, remember to return to the source.